Welcome back to Your Average Witch, where we talk about witch life, witch stories, and sometimes a little witchcraft. This is the second half of my interview with Shanna Stoker. You get to find out what happens next, both in the story and maybe after death, what she loves and hates about the witchcraft community, and she tells an incredibly sweet story of cat acquisition. Now let's get to the stories.
Then I start remembering some things that had happened to me while I was passed out in the car. And yeah, so I found out that I guess you would say died.
Oh.
For like 11 minutes. So, and the thing about it is I remember it. And I remember specifically when I was passed out, or I guess when I
weren't there.
Yeah. I remember it was darkness, and I specifically remember my consciousness, but not a body. And I remember thinking, well, shit, I think I just died. And those were the exact words. So it was,
That's
well,
kind
shit,
of comforting.
I think I just died. Yeah, right? I mean, I feel like
that.
Yeah. It was, I mean, it was like, well, that sucks. I mean, that was like, it was it. It was just, that sucks. Okay, well, damn. Okay, well, here I am. I guess I'm just waiting on what happens next. And that was, I mean, those were the thoughts running through my head. And it was just kind of, it was so, I've been so afraid of death because, or I guess I've not been afraid of death, but I've been so thoughtful about death for so long because of all the paranormal experiences I've had. That like it's just been, death has always been something I've thought about since I was a very young child, far more than anyone else I knew, because it was just something I always had to deal with. And I've lost friends at young ages, and so it's just, I've always been very thoughtful of death. And I always wondered, what does it feel like? I mean, do you experience anything? Is there anything, more? And for me, to be in that darkness and to have such a consciousness that was so very aware that my life was over, but also very much aware that there was more, and just kind of waiting to see what was going to happen next because I knew something was going to happen next. It was so interesting and so strange. And all of a sudden I wake up and I'm in the ambulance. And I guess for me, I'd just forgotten about that part of it until later, but I specifically remember those words. And I remember thinking, and I hope this doesn't sound cold. I don't want this to sound cold at all because I love my family and I love my friends, but I didn't think about anyone. It was almost like, and I know this is so weird, but have you ever played video games like to where you've been just pouring yourself into a video game for hours and hours and days and weeks and something happens? I mean, do you understand what I mean by that? Like pouring yourself into this online world for a while. Do you understand that kind of reference?
Kind of.
Like, for
I'm
instance,
not a gamer,
okay,
but I kind of get it.
yeah, but like, this is just like one example. Let's just say it's something like The Sims, where it's just mundane. You're creating your world, you're creating your person, you've got friendships, and you've got aspirations in your home and all these things, and then all of a sudden the game crashes and you've lost everything, and it's like, well, shit, that sucks. That was a lot of work. That was a whole lot of work I just put into that, and now I have to start over with something new. Okay, fine. That's what it felt like.
I think that's comforting.
It's so
honestly.
comforting. It was so comforting to me because it showed me that, like, first of all, I believe in past lives, and I believe I've lived a lot of them. And I think that's why it felt that way, because I knew I had something else coming. I knew I had another chance, or not another chance, but another life ahead of me. Yeah. Well, and it's like, I just feel like I've done this before, and I knew what it was like to go through it. That's why it felt so much like, well, shit. I really liked that one. And it just made me, it took a long time. I was in a really dark place for a while after my accident because even though I got to keep my arm, so incredibly grateful. I went to Vanderbilt Hospital because I was living in Nashville at the time, and I was on my way to Mobile. I was actually on my way to Mobile on a pit stop to Orlando so that I could audition for a role down here. But it was just, they took me back to Vanderbilt, and I'm so grateful for that amazing surgeon who was able to keep my arm. And I have almost like 95% mobility or something, and it's just amazing. It's incredible. So I'm so grateful for that. But like, even though the physical toll hasn't been nearly as much as it could have been, and I just, if I hadn't, so let me explain. If I hadn't jerked my wheel to the right, then instead of the corner of the semi going through my left arm, it would have gone through my chest. And if you look at pictures from my wreck, you can see where it went through my arm and into the back of the seat.
It
And
looks
if it
like it
hadn't
just
been,
took off
yeah,
most of your car.
it did. And it would have taken off most of me
Yeah.
had that person not honked, and I had not jerked the wheel to the right specifically and slung my body over the side of the console, and there were so many little things that had to go into place for me to survive, and not only survive but be able to thrive after it, and just have such a small physical toll on my body overall. Now my PTSD is insane, but I've been working on that a lot because I already had CPTSD, which is from just childhood traumas and things like that. Complex PTSD is what that is. But the PTSD from this particular accident really haunted me for a while. But now, I'm fully driving, and I started driving again like 6 months after that accident.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
yeah. So as much as I say that the PTSD has really affected me, and it really has, I'm pretty resilient. I like to, I guess I now pride myself on that. And I learned a lot about manifestation, which is getting back to your original question, during this whole experience, because for me that was the most low and negative point in my life, was after that accident. I was on bed rest for months. I couldn't use my arm. I had a fractured ribs, and I was in a neck brace because I had fractured vertebrae. And I was just miserable and sad, and I was becoming addicted to opiates because I had to be on those for like 6 months where you're only supposed to be on them for 3. So I was trying to figure out new ways to deal with my pain and also dealing with this fact that I could see I was becoming addicted to opiates. And there was just, that was awful. It was so many different things going on. And I started really trying to get back into my practice during that time because I felt so lost, and I felt like, why am I here? I should have died. I should have, like, why am I here? Is there a point to any of it? And I felt like life had no point anymore. And even though now I can find comfort in the things I experienced, for a while there, I felt so hopeless and so dark and depressed, and so just like nothing matters, and I am not here for any reason, and I should have died. And it would have been easier for everyone had I died. And I know that's not true. But it really completely took over me. And ultimately, slowly, I got back into my practice, and I started seeing myself differently and allowing that darkness in myself to, how can I find a way to embrace the darkness that I have within myself, but in a positive way, if that makes sense? So I tried to, because that darkness is a part of me, and I think it's a beautiful part of me. And I think it's, part of the reason why I love the macabre and think about death in so many ways. And it is so much a part of me that, like, when I tried to just get rid of it, I lost a part of myself. So I needed to figure out how to embrace that darkness and find the balance, that yin and yang, because I think
Yeah.
that's important. And so through my practice and through manifestation, I was able to do that. And I was able to say, okay, what outcome do I want? What is, it's almost the way I design tarot cards with my partner. Okay, we know what outcome we're looking for. We know we want this character. We want this meaning behind the card. We want to hit these elements. How do we get there? And so I did the same thing with myself, and I kind of reverse engineered based on where I wanted to end up. How can I get there through manifestation? And so that's my favorite part about witchcraft, is that you can do that with yourself and with your life. And here I am 3 years later with an incredibly successful small business. My partner and I are both full time. Um, I'm happier than I've ever been. And I'm embracing that darkness in a way that feels positive, if that makes sense at all. And that feels like I can do so while helping others find a positive and or at least a constructive way to embrace their own as well, and to see that this isn't something that needs to be it's not something that needs to take hold of you and bog you down, but it's also not something that you like. It's something you can celebrate too, and it can be such a part of you and who you are without having to mean that you are this angry person all the time, or that you always have your walls up. And I was that person. So for me to be here and say all of this from my personal experience, I'm so grateful. And I hope I can help others find that within themselves as well.
That's so great.
Thank you.
That makes me so happy for you.
Thank you so much. Witchcraft has it's helped save me and made me who I am today. It really has. And I'm grateful for this person I am today. So I'm grateful to witchcraft.
That's so nice. Yay, witches.
Yay, witches.
Now, you might have already kind of covered this. What would you say your biggest struggle is when it comes to witchcraft?
It's definitely what I talked about in the beginning of just like not having my daily discipline. Um of like, well, because I understand it's the same with like, working out or going to the gym. Like, it's so hard for me when I've got work and I've got my friends and my friends and my family, my partner, my work, those are all for me the most important, like the top. I always try to make time for them first and foremost, right? And then it's hard for me to be like, okay, witchcraft is part of your self-care. Gym is part of your self-care. You need to schedule them like you do, your work, and like you do your social outings. And I'm so bad about scheduling time for witchcraft. And I've realized that that is something I have to do to make sure that I am staying like up to date with my rituals and with my practice. So that's something I hope I can get better at in the future, is scheduling daily practice time. But yeah, I'm so bad about that.
I feel like I need you to come tell me how to do my life.
Oh my gosh, no. I wish I
Schedule
was good
things.
enough
What are
to
you
say
talking
that,
about?
right?
Schedule
I
things.
literally Okay, this is not a plug, but like I just started using this thing called Artful Agenda, which is like it's like one of those really cute fancy planners but online. And I thought, that's not gonna I've used online calendars, it's not gonna help. But let me tell you, it has transformed my productivity. So when I say scheduling things, like this is literally what I mean, is I'm using that Artful Agenda, and it's amazing.
Why
Helping me
is it
so
artful?
much.
Is it pretty, or is it because it's
Yeah.
clever?
Well,
Okay.
both, I think. But it is pretty because I like
Yeah,
pretty
me too.
calendars. I used to buy like Erin Condren um planners all the time, and like, spend like $100 on a planner every year just for all the stickers and all the goodies, and I would spend like 2 weeks being super into this planner, and everything would be written out meticulously, and I'd have stickers all over the place. And then, oh wait, I have a schedule change, and now I have to cross something out, or now I have to cover it with a sticker. And by
Hmm.
the end of it, it's like messy, and I'm not even
Yeah.
keeping it with me anymore. So I like this Artful Agenda because I can use it. There's an app for my phone, but I can also
Ooh.
bring it up as like a full calendar view on my computer. And so I keep it up all the time and check things there. And
Huh.
it's helping me with my ADHD because I, again, have to have reminders and visual aids, and the stickers are fun and give me a quick glimpse into what I'm doing today. Or it's a really cute little app, and I love it.
Yeah, I don't like tangible things. I like
Uh-huh.
internet things. So
Well,
I'm
then
going to
you would
look into
love it. You
that.
should try it out. Yeah, it's awesome. And they actually have some, like, you can change quote unquote covers. So you know what I mean? Obviously it's not
Oh,
physical, but they have like cute little spooky Halloween covers
what are
that
they
I'm using
called?
one that yeah, you can change them. So I've got one right now that's like I think it's pink and it's got like spiders on it or something. It's
Oh,
really cute. Yeah.
do you consider yourself to be a part of the witch community?
Very much. And you know, I didn't before the business, but because of the business, I run all the customer service for our Amazon, our Etsy, our eBay, pretty much anything that if you email us, I'm going to email you back myself usually, or my partner Francis will. But I do the customer service, so I get to speak with witches in the community every day, and I get to hear how they're feeling about our designs, or you know, oh, they get to put our poster on their altar and it helps them with their manifestations every day, or helps them with their daily rituals, or helps them feel closer to their goddess, or, you know, and I just being able to communicate with witches every day on social media or in customer service has made me feel so much more in tune with the community and so much more a part of it. Like I'm actively participating in it every day, and I'm actively giving back to it through my designs. And that's just such a blessing. I'm just so incredibly grateful for, because it is such a beautiful community of wonderful people. And I just love them all so much.
Okay, we're gonna go on a roller coaster ride. We're gonna go down first.
Okay. Oh gosh, here we go.
What makes you angry about the witch community?
Gatekeeping.
Yay!
I hate it. And okay. So like I'm an Aries. I
Ooh,
I typically like by nature have a short fuse, but I've worked very hard on that. But let me tell you, I really actively get angry at gatekeeping in the witchcraft community because, and I understand where it comes from. It's really difficult, I think, to go from, especially in Western culture, where we are a lot of times already affiliated through our families with either some sort of religion or some sort of, you know, maybe you feel like your place in the community has rules. We're so, I think, already attuned to rigidity that it's difficult for us to say, oh wait, my practice doesn't have to have that. There aren't hard and fast rules. And I understand that there's also this idea that, oh well, there's she's just an aesthetic witch, she's not a real witch. And I'm like, who are you to tell her who she is? Like, no. If she is going, if she's calling herself a witch, she's a witch. And I think that goes into just the same as like, you know, let's talk about transgender people. If they are identifying as something, you have the respect to say, okay, I respect you and I see that you identify this way. And so I'm going to call you by your name or call you by this pronoun or whatever have you, to make you understand that I respect you as a person and I respect that you know yourself more than I do. Right.
hello.
So, right? So when somebody tells me I'm a witch, I don't say, "Oh, really? Well, let me
Let me quiz
talk to
you.
me about the yeah. Let me quiz you. What are the magical properties of this particular herb?" Like, no, okay, we're not Professor Snape in here. I don't care. I just want to know that you identify as one of us in this community, and that's all I need to know. Then you're a witch. That's it, because it is such a personal practice. Witchcraft is so personal and it is different for everyone because we are all different. And that's what makes it beautiful. And so to say that, well, you're not doing it right because you're not following the phases of the moon, or, you know, whatever you feel is right for yourself is not going to be right for everyone. It is not one size fits all. And that's what's so beautiful to me, is that there isn't a box. There are no walls. There are no rules. It is you and your practice. And ultimately it's about your connection with the universe, and what you want to get out of it is, you know, hopefully what you put forth into it. And gosh, I hate gatekeeping.
Okay, now we're gonna go back up again.
Okay.
What do you What do you love about the witch community?
Okay. All right. Well, I guess it would just be the embracing. Like, even though there are gatekeepers, most of the witches that I have dealt with are much more likely to just embrace you. And I think by doing so and embracing our own oddities, we're able to see people differently. And you don't have to be a witch to be loved by a witch. Does that make sense? You don't have to be a witch for us to see your differences and say, wow, that's beautiful. And that makes you you. And to encourage others, regardless of their practice or whether they practice or not, to just be themselves and find their own identity and push back against the boundaries of society. And I think that witches really have led the way for that. I mean, for centuries, we have led the way as far as it comes, when it comes to pushing back against societal standards and saying, no, I'm different and I may stand alone, but I'm going to stand strong. And now we don't have to stand alone anymore because we have such a wonderful community through social media and through podcasts and through, so many different outlets. And I just think that that has given way to this beautiful subculture of, well, it's becoming not so much a subculture anymore, just a typical way of life to see people just trying new things based on what they want out of life, and not saying, well, I couldn't do that. I couldn't handle, I couldn't wear that, or I couldn't manifest, or I couldn't be friends with that person. You can do anything you want, love. You can do anything you want if you set your right intentions and your mind to it. And I'm so grateful for the witchcraft community teaching that to the world,
Can you name 3 of the biggest influences on your practice?
Okay, sure.
People-wise?
Yeah. Okay, so of course, actually, it's really the 2 people I've been talking about already. My uncle Brandon, who is the one who taught me about witchcraft in the first place, and just expanded my mind into what can be. And I'm just so incredibly grateful every single day for his mentorship and guidance, and how open he was about his beliefs with me. Was somebody who didn't know where I stood at the time, and I used to be very Christian, and it's just, even when I was Christian though, I still believed in witches, and I wanted to be I was planning on using my Christian beliefs in my witchcraft the way that he uses his Jewish beliefs. But it took, over the years, I ended up realizing that those weren't exactly my beliefs. And it's a lot of, I think I had the courage to do that because of him, and because the fact that he's in my family, And also my roommate, my best friend of over 10 years now, Marcus, is just, they are such a blessing in my life. I mean, they are just this ray of beautiful sunshine, and I don't know what I would do without them, honestly. They have completely given me so much love and grace, and I mean, truly, I believe they're my soulmate. I don't think a soulmate has to be a romantic thing. And we've talked about this for a long time now, that we believe that we have lived lives together before. And maybe maybe we had romantic partnerships in the past, or who, whatever, but we believe in our past lives that we have come together at some point, and that we are meant to be friends or be together in some sort of capacity in pretty much every life that we have. And it's just so beautiful to see that. I'm so grateful for them. And then somebody I don't know personally from White Witch Parlor, whenever I was Marcus is actually the one who told me about her, because he was like, "Oh, she reminds me of you, and I think that you would just really appreciate her outlook on the craft and on manifestation." And she's the one who really taught me about manifestation and about, your intentions. And I just latched onto her and her teachings, because she's just got such a positive light. I get such a beautiful vibe from her, and I feel like she's very much in line with the way that I look at the world and people and practice. And she just gives me such like cozy feelings when I watch her. And I remember specifically watching, there was a video that she had made about how she was living in her dream house with her husband, and all of this came from manifestation. And I just remember thinking, wow, can it really possibly work like that? And let me tell you, my friend, now, it works. I mean, all of the manifestation work that I did while I was living back at my parents' house after my wreck, and I felt so aimless, and I didn't know where the business was going, and I was still working another job because the business wasn't able to support me, and I was still dealing with all of my mental health issues, which I'm dealing with every day, but in a different way, in a darker way. And just trying to figure out where I wanted my life to be, and then looking around here now where I am in this home with my wonderful roommate and this beautiful business and this great community that I'm a part of, and just this peace that I have within myself and this love that I have for myself and for others. I cannot tell you enough how much manifestation can work. And I'm just so grateful for her and her teachings that really got me to where I am today.
Okay.
Jenna from White Witch Parlor.
I'll throw it in the show notes. Now, thinking back to when you were brand new, what is something that you wish somebody had told you in witchcraft?
I think for me, my biggest hurdles that I had when I was brand new was thinking that I had to have everything ready and right before I could start practicing. I needed a book of shadows, and I needed to know all my herbs, and I needed, to have an altar set up, and I needed all the right candles, and I needed all of the right tools, because what I've learned through my own witchcraft over the past decade and more is that you don't really, all you need to perform witchcraft is yourself. That is it. Yes, we have tools that help us and help guide our intentions, and it's, some people are going to be more interested in those ritualistic type of ceremonies than others, but all you need is yourself and your mind and your heart in the right place and the right intentions, and you can just do incredible things. And I think I wish I had known about that, or at least I wish I had somebody who could have told me that, or I don't know if they had, if I would have been able to understand though at that point, because it really
Yeah.
took a lot of practice to get there. And I think that's something that you can tell someone all day long, but it's that imposter syndrome that we were talking about, like feeling like, oh, well, I can't call myself a witch because look at Jenna from White Witch Parlor. Look at everything she has, and look at her aesthetic and her altar, and and I have to be like that before I can call myself a witch, or else I'm not going to be welcomed in the community. And I think that's just something that's so false, and it's just part of our own insecurities and feeling like, again, stuck to that whole idea that there are rigid guidelines when there's really not. There's wonderful guidelines to help you find out what your practice is going to be, but you don't have to stick to those. And it's just finding out that, like, the most powerful thing can be my own energy has been such a blessing.
It's like one of those, like when you try to tell teenagers not to do dumb things. I feel like it's kind of like that, where they're going to hear you say it, but they're not going to really listen to you.
Yeah, and it's almost, to me, it's like you can't expect them to, because they have to live it. They have to. There are just some things in life that you have to learn through experience. And I don't say that because, oh, if you were less stubborn, you wouldn't have to learn it through experiences. No, I really believe you just kind of have to with things like this. It's so personal, and it's such a part of who we become, that you can't just learn that through words. You have to learn it through experience.
Who would you like to hear tell stories on this show?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Honestly, I would love to hear from somebody who's transgender, and I I say that I talk about transgender a lot because I have a lot of friends who are transgender, and it's a really big passion of mine to make sure that, like, we're bringing that into
Inclusive?
the witchcraft community. Yeah, and that we're understanding of, like, how somebody's gender identity might affect their craft. I would love to hear more about that, because I have a lot of friends who are in the witchcraft community who are also transgender, and it does seem to really affect the way that they interact with the craft, because again, it's such a personal thing, and your own energy and your own self-love is a very much part of how you interact with witchcraft. And I would love to hear somebody of that community speaking of that, how witchcraft has either helped them, or how their transgender identity has influenced their witchcraft, or vice versa.
I would love if your friends would send me an email, because I want that. And I don't want to reach out to somebody and say, hey, you're my token transgender person. Come tell me transgender stories. But I do want to hear from them, because I don't know that experience.
Yeah.
And I want to know everybody's experience. And they're people. I want to know
Yes,
witches.
absolutely. I will definitely talk to some of my friends and put them in touch with you.
Yes, please. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up or talk about?
Well, can I do a little shameless plug for
Of
the
course.
business? All right, so we talked earlier about our Tarot Major Arcana deck, and you were asking if we are going to make that full deck. I did mention that we have some other projects in the work first, and one of the things that we're doing is we're actually about to drop a shadow edition of the Tarot deck. So it's going to be, if you look at our shop, you can see a lot of our Tarot designs on our merch are black and white. So we just have a black background and then line art done in white. And we really, those are so popular. And we love the way that they give a minimalist version of our very vibrantly colored Tarot deck. And it's kind of more standard goth, if you were to say it like that, you know. So we are releasing that Shadow Edition deck soon. I don't have an exact date yet. We're waiting for the shipment for them to come over, but we have ordered them and they are stunning. They're gorgeous. I'm obsessed. They are, the same rose petal matte finish that you get with our original Tarot deck. So that just means they have that velvety kind of buttery feeling when you hold them, and they are edged in silver instead of the matte black that our original deck is. So you got the black and white and then this edging in silver. It's stunning. And then we did add a special 23rd card to this deck. So it is another version of the world. So you can decide which version of the world that calls to you most and then interchange them. Or if you think, are doing different readings and one of them seems more appropriate for one reading versus the other. So we did add that special card and it's just, it's so beautiful. It's actually a Victorian ghost coming through a mirror. And I've written this very first person perspective sort of description for the card that you can see on our Etsy page on the merchandise that we're selling of this card. So if you look up in our store, Victorian ghost, the world or something like that, then you'll find it. Yeah. You'll find it. And so I've written this really cool, I'm so proud of the description I wrote for this one because it's very much your first person experiencing what's happening in the card. And it's so spooky and so creepy and I love it.
While I was flipping through, I saw your Fool card.
Yes. Wait, which one? We have a few. Was it the one with the Tarot one? So it's spooky. He's on like a hill of skeletons.
Nope. Wait, is it? I just saw an idiot, so.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's another one.
Yep.
Yes, that one's very popular. And I think it's important to show exactly how I feel about that person. So.
Yeah, I don't want to say the name and I don't want to touch the card, but it pleases me that that's what it is.
Thank you.
What else is happening with your shop?
Really,
more
right now,
blurbs?
it's just. Well, we're also working on another major arcana deck that is all going to be themed around goddesses from various cultures. So yeah, we were kind of focused. We didn't want to just do obviously the most popular goddesses in today's age for most of the witches that we found based on our research is either going to be from like the kind of Greek background or Roman or more Norse or Celtic goddesses. Yeah. So we wanted to, obviously we've included those and they definitely take up a lot of our deck, but we've also included Yamaya. We've included Isis. We've included Kali because
I was hoping for some Indian.
Yes. And I've, again, that's something that is really important to me is trying to be as inclusive as possible and have somebody for everyone's practice. And also to incorporate goddesses who people who are mainly Norse or Celtic or Hellenistic or Hellenic or might not know about. So hopefully we can get these goddesses in conversation with people who might not have been talking about them before. And I really want to have something for everyone to appreciate. So regardless of what your practice is, I want you to feel included in our store. And I'm so excited about these cards and we're just working on them right now. And we just finished Diana and she is stunning. So I can't wait to share it. Oh, it's just every single one. I'm like, oh, this is the best one. No, this is the best one. Oh, it's better than the last. And it's been such a blast to do the research and to to figure out where these goddesses fit in the deck. It's just been so much fun. And we probably won't have that one done until next year, late next year, but we are actively working on it.
Yay.
And we do release each design on our merch as we finish them. So you can see, you can look up Gaia. We've finished her. We've got Rhiannon, we just did Athena, Yamaya, like I said, Isis and Kali. So there's quite a few already done. And we do try to get them out there for merchandise as soon as they're finished. So you'll be able to see our journey as we're completing the deck.
Cool. Okay, so the 2 questions that were not on your list, which if you listen, you may already know. First, recommend something.
Okay. This can be anything, right?
Yep.
Just anything.
Anything at all.
Okay. So this is kind of random, but it's my favorite song. It's been my favorite song since I was 14, and it's also by my favorite artist. So the artist is Iron and Wine, and they have completely just been a part of my life since I was like 13 or 14. The first song I ever heard from them is still my favorite song, and it's called Boy with a Coin. So if you can, just take a moment, go to YouTube or Spotify and look up Boy with a Coin, Iron and Wine. It is the song that I use to ground myself. It is the song I used to get in the right headspace before I practice or before I meditate or before I take a cleansing self-care bath or whatever, it's just, there's just something about the music and the beat and his voice. It just does something to me, and it's just absolutely, for me, a very spiritual experience. So I highly recommend that song, and I hope you like it.
Yay. And the second question is, well, it's not even a question. Please tell me a story that you love to tell about anything.
Oh gosh. Okay, so this is the story of how I became an obsessed cat lady. Okay, so I grew up with my mom was always a cat person. There was cat just decor all around our house because she loved cats. And I remember, we had cats, but we also had dogs, and my dad had horses. Like I said, I'm an animal person. I've always been into animals. But anytime somebody would ask me, are you a dog person or a cat person? I didn't have an answer because I was just like, I like everything, And I didn't fully understand my mom's obsession with cats. They're cool, but I just didn't understand, And well, here we go. It's 2015 and I am at school at Auburn University, but I very frequently was visiting my family in Mobile. So I was down in Mobile and I was headed back to Auburn because I was going straight to work. I was working at a Hampton Inn at the time. And so I was like literally in my work outfit because I was going straight to work. And I had to stop at the pharmacy to get one of my medications. And I was like, oh, I'll just wait. I'll just wait until I get it in Auburn. And then I was passing and I thought, no, I really think I just need to go ahead and get it. I just need to go ahead and get it now. I know I've got the time. Let's just do it now. So I stop in the CVS, or I go and I'm in the parking lot, or excuse me, I'm in the drive-thru at the CVS. And this car comes up behind me because they're in the drive-thru too. But then this woman gets out of the car and she looks angry. Okay. And I'm like, oh crap. Oh shit. Okay. Did I just like cut her off or something? I don't remember seeing her, but like, yeah, I don't know what I did, but like she looks angry. And so she comes over to my door and I just kind of like cracked the window.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I help you? She was like, and then she just cracked. She was like, oh yeah, hey. She just had RBF or something. Like, she was fine. She was like, and she's like, as soon as she speaks, my guard goes down. And she's like, yeah, I just wanted to let you know there's a cat under your left tire. And
what?
I just don't want you to run over it, right? Because I've been sitting in the line for a minute. And so I was like, oh, okay, and I'm like, there's stray cats everywhere. I don't know if it's just where I live, but there were stray cats everywhere. So it's just I was just kind of used to cats being around. And so I get out. I'm still waiting for my prescription. I get out of the car and I'm like trying to shoo this cat. And oh my gosh. So this tiny little angel, this orange sweetheart who is like a few months old at this point, I can tell, and is just emaciated and covered in like fleas and flea dirt, just comes directly to me and meows and gets on their hind legs and does the whole like Puss in
Reaches
Boots
for you.
thing. Yes.
Oh no.
When I tell you this angel was this, I mean, chose me. He chose me. And I was like, oh my God. So I immediately, of course, pick up this baby and he snuggles into my
Oh.
my my neck and just starts purring, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I'm sitting here, and at the time I was living with my grandparents in Auburn because I had just moved back from working at Disney for the college program, and I didn't have an apartment, and I was taking time off from school so I could work full time to pay for school, and it was a lot. So I was living with my grandparents, and I loved them so much, have a great relationship with them. And so I'm like, I can't take this cat. I'm not living by myself. Like, I can't take this cat, but I'm already in love at this point. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't leave this cat. so I, so I'm like, I go inside and I'm like, hi. And I just kind of make this pronouncement to the entire store that, like, hey, I found this cat. He's super sweet and friendly. I can't take him home. Can somebody please take this angel of a cat? And I'm in there for like 25 minutes. I kid you not, just like going up to random people asking them to take this cat.
Well, they
Because
probably
I
thought
just,
you were crazy.
they did. Luckily though, this was like my pharmacy that I went to all the time, so at least the pharmacists knew me, and they were like, so they knew me, and they tried so hard to like help me. They were calling their families, they were
Aw.
calling we were all trying to find this cat a home. Well, then finally, I'm like, I'm already gonna be late for work. This is ridiculous. So I'm trying to figure out what to do, and I'm like, nobody's taking this cat. So I call my grandmother, and I'm just like, I just am beseeching her, please let me have this cat. I told her about how it happened, and it was like it was meant to be because I wasn't even gonna stop there. And she's just like laughing at me, and she's like, bring him home.
Oh, yay,
It
Grandma!
was the sweetest thing. I love my Grammy. She's incredible. This is the same grandmother who was born with a veil over her eyes that we
Oh,
spoke about earlier. She and I are extremely close. I'm extremely close to both of my grandmothers, but we just have a different type of closeness,
yeah.
it's just a different relationship. And anyway, and so somebody in there who had been like trying to help me, it was this older woman who was trying to see if she could help find a home too. She stayed with me like the whole time in the CVS. She was like, so you're gonna take him? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take him. And she said, okay, well, just a minute. And she goes and she gets me litter and a litter box and food bowls and some cat food and a blanket, and she goes and buys all of this stuff since I'm taking this cat. And she was like, I just want to make sure that you don't have to worry about any of that because you're doing such a kind thing. And I was just like, you're doing such a
Oh.
kind thing, what is this? So I get the cat set up, and I'm in the car, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to Auburn with this cat now. Like, we're just gonna go ride in the car for 4 hours, um, and figure this out. And then I'm like, oh my God, I had to go to work. So I call my boss, and he's amazing. I absolutely love him. And I was just like, so hey, I found this cat, and I tell him the whole saga, and he's just like laughing his ass off because he knows me so well, and he knows that I'm just like a sucker for animals, and that he just knows exactly what happened. And so he's like, don't worry about it, just take the cat home, take care of the cat, come in whenever you can, I'm fine working over. And I was like, oh my God, I love you so much. And so he actually stayed another 2 hours so that I
Oh.
could take care of this cat. I know, he's incredible. But I mean, at the same time, I also was the one who they would call at midnight if they needed somebody to go in and change bed sheets because somebody had an accident and we were full up. So, I did my due diligence to
No, thank you.
so yeah, it was a great, they were just wonderful, wonderful bosses. And so that's how I met my sweet angel, and I named him Rue because we both had red hair. Yeah, yeah. So I named him Rue because we both have red hair. I have red hair and he's got orange and white hair. And I speak a little French, so I was trying to figure out,
Oh.
I had French on the mind. And Rue, Roux is a slang term for like a redheaded boy. So that's why I named him Rue. And he sat in my lap the entire 4-hour drive. I put a
Oh.
blanket in my lap, and he just sat there the whole time and just I mean, we just
What's a
bonded
baby?
immediately. And oh my gosh, he is just my sweet little angel. And he's 6 now because that was 2015. It was actually September 11th when I found him. And he was about, they, oh, and another funny thing, whenever I took him to the doctor, I was like, okay, so when would you say that his birthday was, you know? And they were like, probably late March. I was born on March 30th. So now he and I share a birthday celebration every year.
That's the best.
Um, I got him a big cake this past year,
Oh,
and it was like, yeah, from Etsy you can buy these like cakes for cats or whatever, and it's made of, I don't know, it's like
tuna.
tuna and flour and stuff. Yeah, I mean, really, he loved it. And it was so cute. I've got pictures somewhere, and but yeah, he's my little angel, and now I also have another cat named Frankenstein that I got. I got him. I found him and his two brothers and sister at a Mexican restaurant in Mobile after my accident,
Oh, well.
and yeah, they were only about 3 weeks old, and they had
Oh.
been abandoned, and the people at the restaurant had them in this like crate, and we're just, it was funny because we had just finished eating, and I'm outside with my mom and my niece, and we're talking, and I'm like, wait, shh, guys, stop. I hear cats. And they're like, no, you don't, because
Yep.
there's music blaring and there's all like, no, 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 no. I hear cats.
Baby cat.
And so, yes, yes. And so I'm like a freaking, bloodhound.
Yep.
And I'm like, and I, lo and behold, there's a crate of 4 kittens. And these poor, and so of course, like, we go to this restaurant like at least once a week. I mean, we have been since I was like 11. They know us. And so I am like, what is your plan with these cats? And they're like, we don't know. And they've got this like goat's milk in a bowl in there. And these poor babies they just open
Aw.
their eyes. They can't, they're just rolling around in their own waste and goat milk. And it's just awful. So that night I took them home and I ended up fostering them and having to bottle feed them every 2 hours. And I ate it up. I love it. And so they're all healthy and thriving. And I gave 2 of them away to some friends, and my mom kept one of them, and I kept Frankenstein, my little angel, who I call Frankie. And I named him Frankenstein because I got them right before I was playing Elizabeth in a stage version of Young Frankenstein. So I named one of them Dracula because he looked like Bela Lugosi in Dracula and he liked to suckle. And then Frankenstein was the biggest yeah. Frankenstein was the biggest of the group. But he was kind of a brute, but he was also the sweetest and just
Aw.
like the gentlest. So that was why he got that name.
See, I knew that was going to be a good story.
Thank you for your patience. Because oh my gosh, I was blanking.
I always want to hear stories about people's babies. The,
They're
the
my
animal kind.
angels.
The
I
animal
love
kind.
them so much. Yes, they are my babies. And I don't, yeah, I mean, I don't even think I'm going to have real babies. So yeah, I'm very happy with my animal babies.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I had a good time talking to you.
Thank you so much. I've had such a wonderful time talking to you too. And I hope this is the beginning of a new friendship.
Yeah. Okay, well, everybody be sure to go follow her on Go for it.
So on TikTok, it is the Ghoulish Gal, the_Ghoulish_Gal. We are also on Instagram of the Ghoulish Garb. So the_Ghoulish_Garb. And then, of course, you can just go and follow our page on Etsy. If you look up the Ghoulish Garb with no spaces in the search bar of Etsy, that will take you to our shop. And you can actually follow us there to get updates.
Well, thank you again, and I guess I'll see you on the internet.
Thank you so much, Kim, for having me. I really, really appreciated it, and I had such a great time.
Oh, good. Well, bye. Yeah. Okay, well, everybody be sure to go follow her on Go for it.
So on TikTok, it is the Ghoulish Gal, the_Ghoulish_Gal. We are also on Instagram of the Ghoulish Garb. So the_Ghoulish_Garb. And then, of course, you can just go and follow our page on Etsy. If you look up the Ghoulish Garb with no spaces in the search bar of Etsy, that will take you to our shop. And you can actually follow us there to get updates.
Well, thank you again, and I guess I'll see you on the internet.
Thank you so much, Kim, for having me. I really, really appreciated it, and I had such a great
Oh,
time.
good. Well, bye.
Bye-bye.
It's that time again. I have another review. This one is from Dust Sprite Mama, who says, Mama Kim delivers again. I heard about Mama Kim from the Witch Bitch Amateur Hour ages ago and promptly followed everything. LOL. This podcast has quickly become another favorite of mine. Very fun, lighthearted, interesting, and just rejuvenating vibes in each episode. It's lovely to hear witches from all over and get different perspectives and stories. As a solitary, this is the kind of community I love to see. Well, here, LOL. Thank you, Kim. Well, thank you, Dust Bright Mama. Thanks for listening. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Your Average Witch. You can find us all around the internet on Instagram at Your Average Witch Podcast, Twitter at Average Witch Pod, Facebook at facebook.com/Your Average Witch Podcast, at YourAverageWitchPodcast.com, and at your favorite podcast service. Want to help the podcast grow? Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You just might hear your review read at the end of the next episode. If you'd like to recommend someone for the podcast, like to be on it yourself, or if you'd like to advertise on the podcast, send an email to YourAverageWitchPodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the moon changes.